Hey, it's time for TV Skywriter. Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to TV Skywriter. I'm Pat Murray, your host. And with TV Skywriter, I like to introduce you to authors and other cool people that I think you should know. Now, today's guest, this is so funny. Today's guest is Valjeanne Jeffers. We already know each other. She's been on my show in WNCU here in Durham, North Carolina, but she's moved to my, I should say, ancestral hometown of Talladega, Alabama. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Patricia.
Absolutely. I love this book, Valjeanne, that you wrote.
Thank you.
I love this.
Much. Thank you.
Mona Livelong, Paranormal Detective. Love the name. Now, here's the thing. We're going to start off letting people know that this book is for grown-ups. It's not vulgar. There's no like really super explicit sex scenes, but there are a couple incidents of a sexual nature that I'm sure parents would not want their children, underage children, to read. I'm just putting that out there. Well, why don't you tell us what it's about?
Okay. I always feel so awkward describing my own novels, but it is about a young lady. She's a detective. She solves cases that other detectives can't solve because of their paranormal nature. It might be a ghost or a witch or something like that, demons, whatever. So, and she's also a sorceress, but this is something that only people closest to her know, because she says she doesn't want people lining up at her door asking her to teach them how to be a sorceress, because she says you can no more teach someone how to be a sorceress or a warlock than you can teach them to have brown eyes. You know, that was one of my favorite lines from the book. So I don't want to give too much of the book away, but she also has I wouldn't call him a sidekick because he's too important to the novel, but there is also a ghost that helps her. And in writing this book, I drew directly from my experience as a Southern. I love that Southern folklore and the myths and the legends. And then I also got into like some of the grittier stuff that I read, like Donald Goins, for example. So I brought even Iceberg Slim. Okay, I know Iceberg Slim is very misogynistic, not that part, but the very gritty part of it, like Mama Black Widow, for anybody who's familiar with that novel. So it's Mona Livelong.
Okay. When I was reading it, you threw out some years, like 1978 and 1955, but somehow the description of the cars and the clothes and everything, they were from a different era, and so that made me wonder: is that what steampunk is?
Yes, steampunk is. Steampunk is when you deal with an alternate universe. So that's one of the reasons I love steampunk. I started out as steampunk. Steampunk is from coming out of the African diaspora, or people. Actually, I shouldn't say African diaspora, because other peoples of color, like Spanish people, Native American people, can write steampunk. But you kind of play.
You said steampunk, and that's a new word for me.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. Steampunk, when it first started out, one of the complaints that authors of color had is that there were no Black people, no, not just Black people, any people of color in this genre. So as will happen, folks of color started creating their own universes. And one, I don't know if Milton Davis and Balagoon Ojete created the term steampunk, but steampunk is mostly coming out of the African diaspora, if that makes sense.
Oh, that made it really fun to read, because it sounded like H.G. Wells and
thank you
that era.
Compliment. Yeah. You get to play around a lot. You don't have to stick to, since it's alternate history, you can just kind of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, right, for want of a better, phrase. So yeah.
Right, because when I read 1978, I was like, 1978? That must be 1978 somewhere else. But now I understand what you mean. Before we continue to talk about your book, I want to talk about this phenomenon of African American science fiction, which a lot of people are probably totally unaware of.
It is a renaissance. That's what I call it. It is a renaissance. And as much as I don't want to sound arrogant, but to me, it's very similar to the Harlem Renaissance. You have all of these authors come, not just authors, artists, musicians. The last anthology I was in, there was a brother Otis Galloway that created a soundtrack to the anthologies. This anthology called The City, which is a cyberpunk anthology or cyberpunk anthology. So you have just this all these artists and all these musicians and authors coming together and creating, and it's a wave that has hit, not received favorably by everybody, but I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, yeah.
Now, for those of us, I mean, this is all new to me. Obviously, I'm not. I'm thankful for you, but obviously, if it hadn't been for you, I wouldn't have known about any of this. So how can we latch on to this? How can we learn more?
Let me see. Well, can I type my site? I'm always promoting. Yeah, I am always promoting.
Absolutely.
Let me see. I just went to the State of Black Science Fiction Society Con. That was on the 11th and the 12th. And so we had the same thing, all these artists and writers. You had people cosplaying. You had puppet shows. So a lot of folks, it was in Atlanta, a lot of folks from the Atlanta area came. There are similar movements, I think, in, is it Ohio, Chicago? So there are similar cons taking place across the United States. But for now, if people want to check it out, they can go to Facebook and just type in the State of Black Science Fiction Society. I think it has about 2,000 members. There's also a site called Black Science Fiction Society, www.blacksciencefictionsociety.com. That site has about 5,000 members. So and I'm going to type my site in right now for those who
Sure. And while you're doing that, I'm wondering then, do you think this will be reflected in TV shows and movies, or have I missed out on that too?
Milton Davis and Valjeanne Jeffers are creating a film. I'm sorry to say I can't think of the name of the film off the top of my head, but I know they are creating a film. I think their studio is called Roaring Lions Production. I have also signed on as a screenwriter with some other talented ladies. The creator that I've signed on with, her name is Lucy Cruel. She's doing a film anthology called The Seven Magpies. So there's 7 screenwriters. I'm honored to say that I'm one of them. There are also 7 directors. Among the directors, Ray Dong Chong is one of them. I can't think of the other ones off the top of my head. Ray Dong Chong, she's Quest for Fire. She's in Quest for Fire. She's an actress turned director. The Color Purple. Yeah, she was in The Color Purple. So it's 7 directors, 7 screenwriters. It may be released. Lucy says she's looking for funding right now as we speak, so it may be released this year. So there's another sister.
That is awesome.
What is her name? I know I'm gonna mispronounce this sister's name. I met her at the Sci-Fi Con. M. Osley Dukan, and she's creating this documentary called The Invisible Universe, which is a documentary of Blacks and people of color in science fiction and fantasy. So, and it's gotten so long, she says she's going to turn it into a series. So, yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to type some of these other ones in here while I'm at it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you first started, this is not your first book.
No.
So I'm wondering, did you always know that you were going to write science fiction when you first started out, or did you just kind of gravitate over to it?
I didn't. I had the same discussion at the con. I always thought of myself as a reader, not a writer. And so I read one of my favorites who we were talking about earlier, Richard Wright, James Baldwin. These were 2 of my favorites, especially Richard Wright. I love myself some Richard Wright.
Me too. Yeah.
And a lot of young adult paranormal literature. I always say that the African American writers that I started out with, the magic realism, which it kind of laid the foundation for what I went into later. But I didn't really get into writing. I wrote some as a child, but I really didn't pick it back up till I was in my 40s. And then that's when I started my first series.
But don't you think you're a better writer if you read first? Because I've read, I belong to a couple of writers forums, and I've read writings by people who say they don't have the patience to read to read books, and they just want to be writers without benefit of being readers.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah, I don't want to speak disparagingly of anyone, but yeah, I think you do have to
be a reader first. Yeah,
to be a good writer. It's just my opinion. Yeah.
They when I first started on my novel, and at that time I wasn't self-published, I was looking for a publisher, and the advice was for you to read in the genre that you want to write in. Well, I had already been doing that for years. I started out with white science fiction authors because, of course, at the time that I was reading, there were none that I knew of, any black folks.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen King. I loved Stephen King, still do. Dean Koontz, that was another one. And a ton of other people, I can't even remember their names. And then around I think it was in the early 90s, right around the time I relocated to Durham, was when I discovered, I think I discovered Tananarive Due first, and then Nalo Hopkinson, because they had just started. Yeah, so yeah.
I grew up enjoying Ray Bradbury, although
Ray Bradbury,
he's not hardcore science fiction, but he did write good stories. When I was a kid, I really liked. I like to read a good story, good writing, good story. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
The genre didn't matter too much as long as the story was good and the writing was good.
So let me see. I sold a lot of books at the con, I'm happy to say. But I do have a few left.
Oh, good.
This is I'm holding up so people can see it. It's coming up backwards. This is Immortal 2. That's the second book in my first series, which is my Immortal series. I have. Yeah, can you see that okay, Patricia?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. And
it looks backwards to you, but it looks perfect to me.
Oh, good. Okay. And then I have this one. This is Immortal 3, Stealer of Souls. And
nice.
I have one more book in the Immortal series, and then that's where I branched off into space operas. Let me see, give a quick description of a space opera. Think soap opera with spacecraft. Just,
cool.
Space opera. Yeah, okay. A lot of blowing stuff up and aliens and everything. So I started on that, Colony. I have that's out. I did a book of short stories, Voyage of Dreams. So I've been pretty busy. I try to stay busy. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the Immortal series.
Okay. Let me see. Immortal is based also in an alternate universe. The universe is called Tundra. The main character starts out with the main character, Carla, who is a drug addictions counselor. And she's very effective at what she does. She's also a recovering addict herself, but she's having these very disturbing dreams, very lucid dreams. And these dreams open a pathway to what is going to be her role in Immortal. Out of the dreams, two entities come out of the dreams. One of them is one that will threaten her world, because Tundra doesn't have any racism. It doesn't have any war. It's like a utopia. Okay. But there is a creature who's threatening this utopia. Okay. And Carla's role is to fight him. Okay, so that's kind of that lays the base for.
Cool.
She taps into her powers, her paranormal powers. I guess I won't be giving too much away to say that she's a werewolf, but not in the sense of the howling, them kind of folks right there. And she has, she's very self-aware. She knows how to control her powers. So there's a lot going on, and it is paranormal. It has demons, shape-shifting. There's time travel. And I stretched across 4 novels.
So if you can write a fiction novel, or rather a novel, does that mean that you can easily turn around and write a screenplay based on the same story, or rather turn
No,
that story into a
no,
screenplay? Is that it? Oh,
no. I'm a screenwriter, but let me just say what I did is I provided a story. Okay.
mm-hmm.
They take the stories that we provided and they turn them into screenplays. I don't know how to do that. That's a skill I don't have. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's harder than writing a novel.
Well, I don't know, Patricia, because I've never done it. Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. So it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. We froze. Okay, we had frozen for a
Do
minute. I was like, oh no, I lost her. Yeah.
That's okay. So, do you think that's something you would like to do, and that is to write the movie versions of the stories that you write?
Um, can I be honest and say not really? I really
Really?
don't
Because
want to.
we got
I
Netflix
don't
and
want to.
really,
I would
I
rather stand on the sidelines and kind of, look on. And if I see something that doesn't fit, say, well, maybe you could, very tactfully, maybe you could do such and such. I am going to branch off into, I have Immortal and Immortal 2 are audiobooks. And when I get
ooh,
ready, I would like to record Immortal 3 as an audiobook myself. So
mm-hmm.
that's one thing I am going to try to branch into. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
That sounds like fun. Are you going to have like sound effects and more than one actor, or are you going to read the whole book?
I'm going to read the whole book. The actress that did Immortal 1 and Immortal 2 for me, Darla, I think I'm pronouncing her name right. Darla Middlebrook, I think. She read the
Mm-hmm.
whole book, both books herself. Yeah. So
Wow. I
yeah.
should.
So
You know what? I have never listened to an audiobook, and
really,
I should probably do that just to see what it's like.
oh, they're addictive, girl. They are addictive. There is a brother. I think I see if I can think of his name. Yeah, Larry Winfield, who
Mm-hmm.
wrote this novel called Banjo. Is it no Banjo Strings? And it
Okay.
is Southern Gothic erotic horror. And he can read. Oh my goodness, can he read?
Wow.
Yes, all of that in there. All of that in there. You got your voodoo, you got your Southern folklore, you got your ghosts. This is really scary too. And he read the whole book. He did an excellent job. Yeah, so he has
Oh,
sound effects.
I guess if you have a really good voice, then you can captivate your audience.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been told I'm a pretty good reader. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've been told.
Well, you
Yeah,
have a good voice.
thank you, thank you. I actually enjoy reading, so I think I would do a pretty
Mm-hmm.
good job. Yeah, more so than a
Excellent.
screenwriter.
Excellent. So, as far as Mona Livelong, now she's a really good character,
Thank you, thank you.
and
Hmm.
it seems to me that she should be continued. That
Mona Live Long 2 is I'm actually finished with it, and
mhm.
I'm waiting on my cover artist.
Okay.
Mhm. Who is also my
Same.
fiance. Yeah, let me hold his book up right quick because he's also an
Oh,
author. Yes, so this book is also for adults only now. So your children cannot read this book. But this is I think his fourth. I think this is his fourth book, and he's working. His name is Quinton Veal, and he's
hmm.
on that site that I typed. He's working on his I
Okay.
think sixth book. Yep.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yep.
about that?
Yeah.
So, what
So
is
yeah.
so are you like the writers that I read about, where you wake up early in the morning and you get started at 5 o'clock in the morning and
God.
write until 2 in the afternoon, take a break, and then write again until 10 at night?
I wish I was that organized. I am not anything like that organized. I get up around 6 o'clock and feed my pets. And then I have a
Okay.
dog
Well,
and
they do
a
have
cat, right?
somebody has to feed them.
I get up and I see about my little animals. And then sometimes I do write early in the morning. Sometimes it's late at night. It just depends on,
Hmm.
because I work from home. So it really depends on when I find the time to do it.
Right. Right.
When I do it, I do spend several hours doing it when I get into it. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Now, I don't write fiction, and so when I read about fiction authors, very often they'll say such things that really surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
Like they let their characters tell them what they're going to do and what they want. Whereas I always thought that the author was in control. So how is it for
Um,
you?
it's kind of twixt in between. Your characters kind of. I will say this much: when I put my writing down and I don't pick it up for a while, they start to bug me. I mean, like really, I start to get stuff in my head, like, hey, you need to write. Scenes start popping out of my head. I've actually dreamed about
Wow.
that. Yeah, I've actually dreamed about writing.
Whoa.
I've dreamed about writing, and so I can't put it down. Um, since characters are an extension of you, of the author, I say it's kind of twixt in between. It's a strange relationship. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
So.
that also shows a certain commitment to your work. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
some writers, they work on the same books for like years and years and seem to be kind of
Mm-hmm.
casual about it. But if your characters
No.
are eagerly telling you, let's finish this, then you're
Mm-hmm.
more likely to
Yeah.
finish that story.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't work on the same thing. I've heard of people who work on the same book for 10 years.
Hmm.
I couldn't do that. Yeah. I couldn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that to me that's taking way too long, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do. I think so. I feel like since I started writing as very young and I didn't get back into it till I was in my 40s, I kind of feel
Hmm.
like I'm playing catch up.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like I have a lot to write and I want to write it while I'm still here.
Hmm.
So let me see, that is Mona Livelong, I believe is my eighth book. And so Mona
Whoa.
Livelong 2, uh-huh. I have eight, yeah. Mona Livelong 2 will be my ninth book. And
Wow.
I've been putting out like a book a year. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So
Mhm.
your book is done. You're waiting for the art. So does that mean your third Mona Livelong book is in your head, working somewhere?
Um, when I finished it, I was like, when I finished writing, I was like, I really dig this book. I said, I really dig that. I felt really satisfied. I said, I could go ahead and get started on the third one. But see, Colony was a sequel. I'm known for my sequels, and my readers fuss at me about that.
Oh,
My
okay.
one of my favorite readers, Tina Hurd Wilson, so she said, "For God's sake, don't write another sequel." And I thought
Oh,
yeah. She said, "Please don't write another sequel." So she wanted me to tie everything up at the end.
that's interesting.
So
She would say
Colony,
that.
yeah, she wants it, and it's kind of sort of the second one is kind of sort of a sequel, but I hope I finished up everything enough. I hope I
Hmm.
gave my readers enough closure so they won't be
Hmm.
mad with me. But
I
I
got
do need to start on Colony too. Yeah.
you. Okay. Well, we
Hmm.
will eagerly check your work out. So we need to check out the Facebook page of the Black Science Fiction Writers. Then we need to
Yeah.
check out your
Please.
website, and it's
Yeah.
V Jeffers and QVeal.com.
.com.
Okay, so we'll check that out. And as far as these other Black science fiction authors, do you help each other promote your books?
Hmm. Yeah, we do. I'd be more than happy to give you if you want me to give you some recommendations of
Sure.
writers that I read. Uh-huh. Let's see. I'm typing now. Okay, that's yeah, State of Black. I wanted to make sure I typed it right. State of Black. Yeah, I got State of Black Science Society. I don't know what that's gonna take somebody to, so let me fix that.
Okay.
Fiction. Okay. State of Black Science. Um, Milton Davis is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
He writes a lot of sword and soul, which
Oh,
is
okay.
African mythology mixed in with fantasy.
Ooh, that sounds
Uh,
good.
Belagone. I hope I don't misspell his name. Ojatee. I hope that's right. Belagone Ojatee. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Looks like a
Both
Nigerian
brothers.
name.
Both of these brothers write Sword and Soul.
Okay.
They're both
Sword
excellent
and
writers.
Soul.
Sword and Soul. Derek Ferguson writes pulp fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me about writers I was totally unaware of. This is great. And so this is really interesting because we're talking about Black culture, fantasy with African mythology mixed in, and science fiction. So this sounds like a genre that you can really spend a lot of time with and really get into and really enjoy without worrying about current events, so to speak. So that sounds like fun
Yeah,
to me.
it is a lot of fun, and there's so many of. And I say that there's so many authors out there, so many great authors out there
Mm-hmm.
that I mean, I'm just trying to make the rounds. I am. I'm just trying to make them. I'm trying to read as many of them as I can, and then at the same time, have time for myself to write. So,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a lot of them out there, a lot of them out there. Yeah.
That's
So,
great. So let's promote your
mm,
book one more time right before we go. We're talking with
okay.
Valjeanne Jeffers, and this is her latest book, Mona Livelong, Paranormal Detective. It's so fun to read. And again, it's for grown-ups. It's for
Yeah, it is.
grown-ups. It's
All of
very
my
well.
books are all of my books are for adults. They're for adults. I
Mm,
would say 18 and up. Yeah. Hmm.
mm. And it's understandable. And like I said, I really wish you the best of luck. And I
Thank you,
really
Patricia.
hope. Absolutely. Tell everybody in Talladega that I said hi. That's where
I
my,
will.
my grandmother, actually, I guess that's basically where my father's family started way back in the 1800s, maybe even before then, who
Wow.
knows.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I want
Okay.
to throw a shout out to Talladega College, Crimson and Blue. Graduated from
Hmm.
there in 1978. No, yes,
I'm a
78.
Spelman grad. I should say I'm a Spelman graduate.
Awesome.
So,
There you
I sure
go.
am. Class of
Yep.
1984. But my mom taught at Talladega.
Cool.
My mom
Okay.
taught it. She was an English teacher. Yep. She sure did
Cool.
for years. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. hmm
Well,
And she's an
unfortunately,
author too. She's an author too, I should say. She wrote Up and Down. Let me type that in there, Up and Down the Evergreen. I might as well get her out there too. Not science
well,
fiction,
our
literary
time
fiction.
is up, but we will look her
Okay.
up as well on the internet. So
Okay.
thank you so much, Valjeanne Jeffers, for being on the show. Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Patricia, for having me. Thank you.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, thanks for watching, folks. Ciao for now. Patricia A. Murray signing off.